Comparing fractions assessment. Your learning target today is I can compare and contrast fractions, and you'll know you're successful when you can identify the smaller, larger, or equivalent fraction by looking at the numerator and denominator. Today we're going to be taking our comparing fractions test, and before we do that, we're going to go over a few more examples of comparing fractions, and then you'll get to try that out on your test. So I have some common numerators right here, right? My numerators are the same. What is my numerator? It is 0, right? So when I have my denominator right here of, it's 0/5, right? 5 is my denominator. And right over here, 15 is my denominator. So I'm wondering which one is the bigger fraction? Well, when my numerator is 0, guess what? They are the same since my numerators are all 0. And when my numerator is 0, the fraction is equal to 0. So 0/5, it's just 0. 0/15, it's just 0. It does not matter what my denominator is, because since that numerator is 0, it means that equals the number 0, the whole number that we know as 0. Okay, so I want to know if I had 0/3 or 1/3, which one would be the larger number? So remember, what did 0/3 equal? Well, 0/3 equals 0. And 1/3, I know, is if I had a circle, one of those pieces would be colored in, right? If it was cut into 3 pieces, well, this 0/3 would look like none of them are shaded in. 0 are shaded in. So 1/3 is obviously the bigger fraction. What about when I have 3/3 and when I have 4/6? Which one would be the larger fraction this time? Well, again, if I had a picture and I had cut my circle into 3 pieces, I would shade in all 3, since my numerator is telling me 3 are shaded in and my denominator is saying 3 total. Okay, so that means a whole shaded in circle. How about 4/6? How many pieces total would there be? There would be 6, right? Because 6 is my denominator and that is always my total. So I will have 6 pieces all together. How many would be shaded in this case? Well, I would look at the numerator and say, 4 are shaded in. So I will color in these top 3 right here, the top half, and then just 1 more. So which one's the larger fraction? Maybe that was harder to be able to notice before, but now that we drew our picture, you should be able to tell that 3/3 is the greater fraction. That's the bigger fraction because 3/3 actually is equal to 1 whole. We know 4/6 is not equal to 1 whole because the whole circle is not colored in. Anytime that my denominator and my numerator are the same, it does not matter what numbers I use, they always equal 1 whole. So 10/10 is 1 whole, 6/6 is 1 whole, 4/4 is 1 whole, 3/3 is 1 whole, 1 out of 1 is 1 whole, right? So it does not matter because as long as my numerator and denominator are the same, it always equals 1 whole. So my tip for you today is when you're taking your test and comparing fractions, I would draw each fraction. What would those fractions look like? Remember, our numerator is the number that would be shaded in, and our denominator would be the number that is the total amount of pieces in your shape. So good luck today, and thank you for learning comparing fractions with me. Remember, your learning target today is I could compare and contrast fractions, and you'll know you're successful when you can identify the smaller, larger, or equivalent fraction by looking at the numerator and denominator.